Welcome to Level Up, the video game podquiz, where we make detailed notes of all the news that's happened, formulate a series of questions based on that news, write a series of trivia questions to go along with it, and then leave it all on a USB stick and work with no chance of retrieving it before we start recording. In the best video game tradition, the players level up by earning experience, which is awarded by me for being interesting, knowledgeable, and amusing. And while XP can't be lost, incorrect answers will see experience awarded to the other players. Joining me this week are Hany Gohary.
Hello.
And David Gower.
Yes, hello.
Do we have buzzers?
Indeed.
Hany,
Yes.
do you want to fire one at me?
Here you go.
Ah, it's beautiful. A sound from all our youths. And Dave? Right, video games then. Difficult one to ask you guys because I think
I've been playing since last week.
Yeah. Have you played anything different since last week?
I found a tower defense game in StarCraft, so I've been playing that. There you go.
Ah, cool.
What, an actual, like, is that a mod, or is it just...
It's one of the it's an arcade. No, what's called arcade map. So there's a map editor that comes with StarCraft. You make your own stuff in it. Someone's made a reasonably fun tower defense game. I've been playing that a bit.
I've never really gotten on with tower defense games. I don't know why. I think I tried a couple when they first came out, and I just didn't like them. The only one that's... Actually, I now remember there are two I like, but I can't remember what the other one is. But anyway, the main one I like was released by, I think it's either Q Games or Q Entertainment, and I get confused between them. But it's on the DSiWare. I think that's the only place it was ever released. It's called Starship Patrol. And yeah, I really, really like it, to my surprise. And it's just a fun little thing. It looks like you've basically sketched out starships in your maths homework corner or something. And you got just tiny, alien spacecraft that attack you in waves, but you have to kind of strategize. But I suppose like any tower defense game before they attack.
Yeah, there's two tower defense games. I like. One, Plants vs Zombies. It's a very pleasant enough little game. It's very casual, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And the other one, I can't for the life of me remember what it's called. Space set, and you're literally building towers, and little alien ships come along and try and get to the end where there's energy cubes, collect the energy cubes, and then get back off the map again.
Wasn't Defense Grid, was it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
There you go, Defense Grid. That's the puppy.
The only reason I know that one is because of the Defense Grid voice for Dota.
There you go. Yeah, Defense Grid.
Your bottom tower is under attack. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I only played a couple of hours of it, but I enjoyed what I played. But yeah, not really my scene, so I'm not likely to go back to it again. But yeah, it was pleasant enough. So yeah, Hany, sorry, what have you been playing?
Yeah, sorry, I hijacked.
Yes, you did.
Dave's question. Sorry.
What have you been playing?
I just do. That's what I do. So, what was I going to say? What haven't I been playing? Obviously, I checked out the new Mario Kart DLC, which, the one I got the question wrong for a couple of weeks ago. And it turns out it is 3 Mercedes cars. And if you agree to buy the upcoming track and vehicle and such DLC, that's I think the first pack is coming November and the second pack's coming May 2015. If you sort of pre-ordered them, you got 8 different colors of Yoshi and the Shy Guy. So I got those and had a quick drive around with Blue Yoshi, and it was fun.
Hey, Blue Yoshi. Very nice.
And yeah, 3 other things that I'll cut out to save you time.
Fair enough. Well, I finished Metal Gear Solid last night.
Oh, first one?
Yeah, the first one. Very first one.
Oh.
That's
what was the solution to the... You said you were stuck on the Psycho Mantis problem because it was you were playing on PS3.
Yes, well...
Do you unplug your controller and put it in controller 2?
No, you can't do that, but
No.
if you press the PlayStation button and go into the menu, if you go into the controller, you can actually change the controller.
Oh, yes, you can change what number the controller is between 1 to 7. Yes.
Yeah. So,
I should have told you that, because I knew that. Actually.
Well, thanks very much. Yeah,
I didn't know that would be the actual thing. I knew that was something you could do on the PS3. I just didn't realize that would be the answer to your question.
well, I actually got a message. Again, our lovely benefactor, Stuart Luff. So obviously, having listened to the pod quiz, sent me a message saying that you go into the PlayStation menu and it's in there. I was thinking, well, I've looked in there, but I went in and obviously had to fumble around until I was like, oh, right. Because I didn't appreciate that, where it says the controller designation. I never even considered for a moment that would be interactive. I just thought it was a statement, this is controller 1, which made sense. But never thought you'd actually be able to change it. But yeah, you can change it. But having completed it and done it, I went online and had a look, and there is an alternative way to do it as well. For if you can't. For like if you were playing it on the PSP or on the Vita, because obviously you haven't got the option then to change the controller. Apparently, if you keep calling the kernel, he tells you that there's 2 busts in the room. They've got bandaged faces. He tells you to shoot both of them, and because both of them are Psycho Mantis's face, and he can't bear to see his own face, and that distracts him, and he can't concentrate on you then. So that's an alternative method to do it rather than changing the controller.
Interesting.
So there is a way to do it without switching the controller over, which is groovy. So there you go.
Cool.
The more you know.
Yeah. Also, I did find it getting a bit tedious towards the end, with the whole liquid snake thing. It's like, how many times do you have to beat him? It's ridiculous. Just over and over and over again.
How many times do you have to beat him?
3.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Having already beaten him earlier in the game, having shot him down in a helicopter.
Oh right, yeah, I remember.
You have the boss battle with him when he's actually in Metal Gear, and you beat him in that, and then you have a fight on top of what's left of Metal Gear, and then he comes after you in a Jeep as well. And it's just like, how many times? But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great game and a really satisfying ending. I say it's just a bit the whole boss battle, because I'm not a fan of boss battles anyway. The Metal Gear one I kind of accepted because that made sense. You're going up against this Metal Gear, that was fine. But yeah, I don't know. But I enjoyed it. I definitely think it should make more games in that series because that was good.
You should check out the cutscenes for the GameCube remake, the Twin Snakes, because although a lot of the content was the same, I think they got a Japanese director of movies, to redo all the cutscenes, and he just did the kind of ridiculous stuff that you see in movies that would be done with wires and such. So I seem to remember, and I haven't finished it myself yet, but I've seen clips of this, but I'm pretty sure the bit where he shoots down the helicopter, I think at one point the helicopter shoots a missile at him and he skips off it, kind of thing.
Cool.
It gets a bit, yeah. Just there are certain silliness moments there. Plus they've got the ninja fights look sort of extra choreographed and sexy ninja moves as well.
I don't think that'd be out of it. To be honest, I think Metal Gear Solid could pull that off because it's all a bit.
Oh yeah,
it's all a bit stretched, thing and everything anyway. Use controller too. What? And the fact that they on the codecs on the back of the CD box. What? Things like that. You kind of think, do what you like, guys. This is just you have fun with it. It's brilliant. No, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to playing 2 now. Got the HD versions, obviously, there. So, right. Okie dokie. On with the news quiz. There are 6 even more imaginary boxes than normal this week.
4 of them don't contain questions.
Each of which will lead to a question rooted somewhere in the back of my mind about a news story I scrawled some notes down about from the past week.
Don't make us go looking at the back of your mind.
Just you like going snooping around there, just don't put the lights on. So Hany, we'll start with you this week. Pick a number from 1 to 6.
6.
Number 6. Who wants to watch a good old movie?
Thankfully, I know that, but I almost said I shouldn't have actually gone for 6 because that would be the last most obscure thing you remembered and had to scribble down in haste. I believe this is related to the video I saw by chance when I went to YouTube to search for something else yesterday, which was GOG.com announcing they were, first of all, revamping the website and also going to be hosting DRM-free movies related to gaming, including things like Indie Game the Movie. So yeah, they'll be hosting movies for, I think, $5.99 and giving away 2 for free as a sort of launch promotion.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, yeah. Good Old Games, who some time ago relaxed the need for good and old, have now dropped the games requirement too, by moving into DRM-free video distribution. CEO and co-founder of CD Projekt GOG.com's parent company, Marcin Iwinski, commented that there are thousands of movie and TV classics which are difficult to get hold of digitally, a situation similar to when GOG.com started, and they set to address. The aim being to move in a similar direction, and once the classics are available, to build up to new releases. It'd be interesting to see if they can pull it off, the whole DRM-free thing. Because I don't think
also the streaming of movies.
Well, you can download them as well. It's not all streaming.
Well,
yeah, I mean, you can download. I think that was the other good thing. I mean, it's $5.99, and unlike some stupid things, even like Amazon, will list buy this movie for $3.99 or something, and then it'll say something like also available in HD for £7, and I was like, what? Or I could buy the bloody DVD for $3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the screenshots, the sort of short screen or whatever that was in the video clip showed like 3 different sizes from 1080, 720, and 480 or whatever for mobile devices.
So the key thing for this is going to be, because obviously the idea of it being DRM free, so you could literally download it and take it with you anywhere, watch it on anything you like, as long as it supports the video format. That's going to be the key aspect to it, and whether they can get enough people to agree to go along with that. Certainly moving up to more recent releases and things.
Yeah. Can I have number 4?
Yeah, hang on. Calm yourself. Okay, yeah. So absolutely right, Hany. Well done. Look at this, seamless. Look at this. Dave.
I will have 4, please.
Number 4. Who might expect to see stick for a new handheld announcement?
Well, if you're saying C-Stick, it's got to be... What was the C-Stick? The C-Stick was on the GameCube. Or Nintendo. It's got to be a Nintendo thing. A Nintendo thing.
It is a Nintendo thing. I'm guessing you don't know what the actual story is then.
No. I don't know what the actual story is.
No.
I do.
But you were right about Nintendo. Yes. What a surprise. Hany knows the Nintendo story.
Damn. Let's re-record and I'll pick 4. No.
Yeah. Nintendo is announcing a new handheld and I have no idea what it is. That is the story.
That is the story. Go on, Hany. I'll let you flesh this out.
Okay. Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct video announcement this morning in Japan and announced what they're calling the new 3DS and new 3DS XL. And the word new is very much similar to the way Apple and such announce, the new iPad. I think I noticed that the word new that they've put in front of the name has these kind of small dashes, sort of brightening it up with several colors. Several colored dashes on the sides. Similar, I have a feeling the Amiibo figures that they're going to release pretty soon also have kind of dashes next to the names as well. This is a pointless bit, cut it out.
Wait, anyway, so there's complementary graphics.
But basically, yeah, when they say new, they haven't just put the word new, they kind of put new and they highlight it with these kind of little colorful dashes. And it's basically an upgrade of the existing models in almost every way.
Right, yes, this was Nintendo who have announced a new 3DS. which has an upgraded CPU, battery, an additional analog C-stick, and a couple of extra shoulder buttons in addition to some cosmetic changes. First game announced for the handheld, which will come in both standard and XL varieties, was Xenoblade Chronicles, which in making use of the new device's capabilities is incompatible with current 3DS and 2DS models. With a Japanese release due in November and a 2015 release for the US and Europe, anyone thinking of purchasing a current Nintendo handheld should probably hold off. Or, buy a Vita.
It'll definitely be the cheaper option.
Yeah.
I expect these will come in.
You've got to get a memory card for your Vita, and they ain't cheap. That's
the one annoyance about... Or the one thing that sort of irked me slightly. I understand why they did it, but the new model 3DS will take micro SDs instead of regular SD cards, and I've got a 32 gig SD card at the moment in my 3DS, so I'll have to buy a replacement for that.
Yeah, but they're cheap then, aren't they? I mean,
they're much cheaper.
Vita memory cards are stupid prices. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, even the micro one. It's not really about price. It was more me going, well, I invested in that card and have transferred it between two 3DSs already, and it's a kind of a large size to just discard now, because hardly anything else uses a full size SD card either.
Well, that's if you're actually going to get rid of your current one, not just get the new one as well. Because the whole thing with Nintendo is, what would put me off would be transferring my games across, because it's not on your account with Nintendo, is it? It's on the device, and that's just...
It's kind of on both. It's it is locked to device in terms that you can't have it on two devices. That's a big no-no, which is why you can transfer freely between as many 3DSs as you like now. They unlocked the previous restriction of 5 3DSs. But you can't have it on two at the same time, which is why they insist when you do the transfer, you have to have both devices sort of present in front of you. So you are able to transfer them. The problem really comes up when you don't just buy a new one, but instead your 3DS breaks or something. I've seen a couple of mixed reports, mixed in that I think I saw two saying that Nintendo said tough luck, or it obviously didn't actually say that, but they said there was nothing they could do. However, I've seen way more reports during the days of the Wii and DS with DSiWare and stuff that said that their sort of Wii was faulty, and when they contacted Nintendo, they asked them to send it in, and then Nintendo themselves did the transfer to their new Wii and new account. So there's clearly some way there, but yeah, Nintendo are a bit too strict on the matter.
Backwards is the word you're looking for, Hany. Backwards. Let's call a spade. Backwards. Those crazy playing card companies. Right. Sorry, I almost thought that was your question for a minute there. We've been talking so
Yeah. Maybe I'll know more about this.
I almost feel like we should just go back to Dave on principle.
No, it's fine. I talked all of the last show.
Yeah.
Go on then, Hany. Pick another number then. We've had 4 and 6.
Well, let me see. Which one's a Nintendo related?
3.
I'll
3.
take
2. I'll take 2. I don't trust it.
I'll take 2. No, I struggled with this question. Because how I like to drop hints, don't I, or shoehorn a pun in. But all I could come up with for this particular news story was, are Microsoft taking the piss or what?
Thanks. I can't remember anything about Microsoft this way. What did I read about? Is it Microsoft news that I know that the new 3DS will be able to transfer media over Wi-Fi to either Windows 7 or 8.1?
Is that true?
Yeah, it's because of the SD issue or problem. It's now actually under the back cover of the 3DS. So you'll be able to somehow interface basically over like your home network and transfer. But their Q&A page said the Windows versions it's compatible with will be 7 and 8.1. Anyway,
That's interesting, but it's not what this is about. No, this is Kinect related.
okay. Well, they were shipping it on its. I thought they already did that, but I know they've announced a sort of Kinect on its own, release. They've already announced you can buy Xbox One on its own, but they've also now announced the sort of separately boxed Kinect.
They'd already announced that what's happened.
Can I have a go?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I do.
I am still here. No, it's is it because when you said is it taking the piss? The only ridiculous story from Microsoft I can remember is that they've made a DeLorean.
Really?
Well, they've called it the DeLorean, and what it basically the idea behind it is that they've used some kind of analysis software to predict what you're going to do in a game, and are trying to use that to remove latency. So they're gonna they provide this kind of speculatively rendered frames. They try to render frames in advance using the cloud, and then go, oh, they did do that, and then send them to you. So they kind of
that sounds like a lot of effort for you know.
And I know the story you're talking about there, Dave, because I remember reading it myself. But what I thought about that was this whole idea about predicting what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
This is the root of the lawsuits in America about Killzone, Shadowfall's multiplayer, whether or not it qualifies as being native 1080p. Because the software does a similar thing. It predicts where the player is going to be next and extrapolates that to complete half the frame with their actual position doing the other half of the frame and renders it like that. So it actually only renders 960 of live footage and fills in the rest with predictive.
Yeah.
And outputs at 1080p. So again, it's a similar type of thing that they're predicting what the player is going to do next to help provide a smoother gameplay in certain environments. But yeah, they're calling it DeLorean. But no, that's not what this story is about.
Oh, shame.
But it was interesting, it was informative, and it was XP worthy. So don't worry yourself about that.
You know, XP is no longer supported, Kevin.
Yeah.
Hey.
Sorry.
I still have 2 machines with XP on them. I can't really update them. They got
yeah, I have at least one, and
most of my work machines are XP. Drives me mad. Anyway, no, this is having unbundled the Kinect from the Xbox One in an attempt to boost sales. Microsoft announced that the peripheral will be sold as a £129 add-on as of the 7th of October. Xbox Ones bundled with the Kinect currently retail around £50 more than the unbundled version, and CEX currently sell traded-in devices for £25. The retail unit will, however, come with a download code for Harmonix's Dance Central Spotlight, so totally justifying that £79 premium.
Oh, dear.
So that's what I mean by Microsoft taking the piss. £129, because they had already obviously announced that the Kinect would be coming as a separate thing anyway.
Yeah.
When they unbundled it, but it's the fact that they've announced the launch date and the price this week, and they are head up their arse. Absolutely ridiculous.
I thought they were just intent on overpricing PC users who wanted to use Kinect and such.
Well, yeah, because that was £200, wasn't it? They announced for the PC version when that comes out. It's you wonder what's going on, don't you? You just think words fail me. Screw them. Dave, back to you. 1, 3, and 5 are remaining.
I can only do odd numbers. Oh god! Ah! Number 3, please.
Sorry?
3, please.
Number 3. Why might EA have to get their skates on?
Yeah. There's a question.
It is. Has a question mark at the end of the sentence and everything.
Oh no, they're releasing Skate 3 because of PewDiePie. Made it so popular.
That's basically it, yeah.
Yeah, PewDiePie was. I watch his YouTube videos, but apparently he's like the some kind of YouTube broadcasting deity or something, and he has some kind of bizarre level of following. and he's been playing Skate 3 a lot. And I guess everyone's got so into it, like, oh yeah, I want to play that, and so everyone's trying to play it, and so they're having to do another batch of new copies of the game.
Yeah, basically spot on. Absolutely right. Yeah, this is originally released on the Xbox 360 and PS3 back in May 2010 and out of print for some time. Sales of Skate 3 have seen it steadily climbing the chart track top 40 throughout the year, with Retailer Game even requesting EA repress the game to meet a demand, which seemingly stems from a number of YouTubers featuring it in videos, with one of, like I say, PewDiePie's virtual skateboarding shenanigans having received over 12 million views.
Yeah, I heard about that too. So it's a shame Dave got it.
So, is it? Sorry, just a quick question on that. Is it PewDiePie or PewDiePie?
I think it's PewDiePie.
PewDiePie.
I'm going.
I say
by
PewDiePie because it rhymes with Cutie Pie. That's where I'm going with that.
Right. Okay.
I think it's more. I've said it in front of people who I think do know what he's supposed to be called, and they didn't object, or they've called him that as well. So.
Well, I read a thing about, again, because he's been featured on a number of sites, particularly in relation to the amount of money he generates on his YouTube channel. A significant proportion of which I believe he does give to charity, so fair play to him for that, is how he came up with his name. And that was the fact that it was Pew, because that's the noise gun makes, you know, in shooters, and die. And when he was playing first person shooters, it'd be like, Pew, die! But when he came to do the channel or something, that name was taken, so he added a pie on the end. So which
interesting.
Which is why I when I read it, I think of it as PewDiePie, because obviously it's that.
You may need to get him on the show, Kevin, to confirm what
it would certainly boost my preteen girl following. Yes. Sorry, my niece is a big fan of his.
I've deliberately went for a very diplomatic. I tried a couple of videos and did not like it. Instead of saying anything more, just in case, you know, a team of preteen girls hacks my account and pretends I'm Phil Fish or something.
But no, it's fair enough. You don't have to like everything you say. And like I say, he's earning a lot of money. He's popular with a lot of people, and he's helping charities out. So fair play to the guy. Just because it's not my particular brand of entertainment, yes, it doesn't mean it's not a good thing. So there you go. Okay, yeah, so absolutely spot on, Dave. Spot on.
I got a question right.
Yeah, and how? 1 of 5 remaining, Hany.
Oh dear. 1.
Number 1. What made Google Twitch?
They were in talks to buy Twitch, the gaming streaming site that I still haven't tried properly, and I can't remember if they said talks fell through with them first, because I'm sure I saw some rumors that they'd stepped back for one reason or another, but they've eventually been bought up by Amazon for something ridiculous, like, was it 988 billion or million rather, something like that?
1.1 billion in the end in total value.
Oh, was it? Okay, I thought it was 900 and something.
But there was 900 and something in cash, and then some other stuff in some other.
Yeah, 970 million in cash. Now, I was surprised by that figure, because I didn't think, and I know Amazon's a big company, but I didn't think they were cash rich. So to have that in cash and not doing it in shares or bonds, I found that surprising.
I thought it was 990, or the reason I thought it was 980 or something like that. I'm pretty sure someone, like one of the funniest comments I saw tweeted was, someone tweeted, if they added 12 more million, they could have got free Super Saver delivery.
Very good.
Twitch, does anyone use it? Apart from Debbie, who's not on this week.
I will do when I get my Fiverr. I do stream a bit. I co-commentate some StarCraft, so I'm around on there.
So what do you actually have to do to sort of set up the streaming thing?
You download OBS, you set it up, and you press go.
What does OBS stand for?
OBS is Open Broadcast Software. So there are a few.
Okay.
If you're really old, you can use Flash Media Live Encoder. If you're really rich,
old?
Well, Flash Media Live Encoder was the first one. So if you've been streaming since 2005, you can use Flash Media Live Encoder if you really want to. If you're really rich, you can use XSplit. But if you're sensible, you use Open Broadcast Software because it's free and it's really good.
It's so simple, even I can use it.
Yes, that is very true too. And you set up your Twitch account, and you press a couple of buttons, and it gives you this long string. You copy that into OBS, you set some values up, and you press go, and that's it. That is the entirety of what's required to stream.
Yeah. I tried it. I got it all work. OBS was absolutely fine. The issue I had was with my hardware. Again, my broadband's fine and everything, but my actual PC hardware just can't cope.
Right.
Struggles to run the game, let alone broadcast as well.
There are some things you can do with that. You can lower the resolution. You can lower, if your broadband's really good, but your PC is not, you can lower the encoding so that it just uses more bandwidth and less processor time. There's a bunch of crap you can do. I had to do it the other way because I had 0.6 meg up, so I was trying to force this video down.
Does it sort of upload and stream your entire screen, sort of thing?
OBS can do whatever you want, so you can say capture this screen, or capture my monitor, or capture this game.
Yeah, no, I was going to suggest running it or running a game in a window.
Yeah, if there's one of the things you can do is just say capture this window, and it will only capture that window. Or you can capture a screen.
Occasionally, running in a window runs things even slower for me. I don't know.
And you can have it capturing a window and capturing your webcam at the same time, so you can have your head in the corner going, "Hello, everybody."
Yeah, and you can do some overlays over the top, so there's text and images and stuff around your screen.
It's a good program, basically. Yeah, it's
pretty good.
If you're thinking of streaming, definitely go with OBS. It's a very good tool.
Sounds good.
It is.
Cool.
And that leaves you, Dave, with number 5.
Okay.
What's building up a legal head of Steam down under?
Oh, yes. Valve's being sued by the Australian something commission, saying that Steam, or Valve and Steam, it's Steam specifically, but obviously Valve, who owns Steam, aren't providing users with the statutory rights provided to them by the government of Australia, such as the ability to get refunds if a game is either shoddy or not up to what they were expecting, and all that kind of stuff. So they're being sued by Valve for, I don't know whether it's for money or whether it's for changes in their thing. It seems weird to sue someone to make them change their stuff, so hopefully, well, no, suing them is really weird. Why don't you just take them to court and force them to change it? Whatever. But that's basically the story, is that Valve being sued.
Yeah, no they're not.
Valve are being somethinged. They're being taken to court then if they're not being sued.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah,
okay, so it is that. Okay, I don't know why I thought they were being sued.
Yeah, no, you're not being sued for exactly that reason. That this isn't a financial thing. This is the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission have launched proceedings against Valve over their no refunds policy on the Steam digital distribution platform. According to Rod Sims, chairman of the ACCC, Australian consumer law allows for consumers to insist on a refund or replacement at their option if a product has a major fault. And that such guarantees cannot be excluded, restricted or modified. The initial hearing is due to take place in the Sydney Federal Court on October the 7th, the purpose of which is to have Valve clarify that under those terms and conditions and under the the Australian consumer law, they can have a refund if the circumstances dictate. So if you kind of rambled that at the end there, didn't I? But you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Pretty much same as our statutory laws do in this country, and people have claimed refunds off Valve here for shoddy games, games that have been virtually unplayable on release, because you just email Valve's customer support and you point out that under the UK statutory rules, if this game isn't fit for purpose, then you're entitled to a refund, and Valve will give you a refund. And they have done. There's plenty of evidence of people doing that in the past because, you just quote the Consumer Goods Act.
Weirdly, I figured if something like this was going down in Australia, Australians are for a large country that A, that aren't that many people in it, and B, their internet's so shoddy that you don't actually see that many Australians on Valve. I thought Valve would just go, okay, well, fine, we won't exist in Australia anymore, and just kind of just stop it working. Because they've done that with other things when people have kicked up a fuss. They've just said, fine, we won't supply you. So that's one of the other options that Valve can do. They can just go no.
I suppose the only problem they'd have with that though is the stuff they've already sold. Again, that would be like the fear a lot of people have with a huge collection of games on Steam is Valve pulling the plug, because if they did pull out of Australia, potentially there could be a lot of people there with a hard drive full of games that they can no longer play.
Squeenix stopped Final Fantasy XI after people had punched like thousands of dollars in their subscription. Like, they just stop. They don't give you your money back. I don't know whether that would still count for a non-subscription based title.
Anything subscription based, at some point that subscription can end, and so can the service. I mean, that's going down the road of games as a service instead of games as a product, in it.
So. But then in the EULA of pretty much every game you buy, you say you don't own a copy of this game. We've sold you a license to use it. That license can expire.
Yep.
Yeah.
They specifically say you don't own the game.
Yeah. A few other news snippets. Rumours suggest that Rockstar are delaying the release of Grand Theft Auto 5 on PS4 and Xbox One to 2015, and that the PC version may have been canned altogether. Sony responded to questions regarding GTA 5's no-show at Gamescom by saying the reason was that there was nothing to see beyond what had already been shown at E3. Do we buy that?
I think it's just taking longer to develop it than they thought it was going to be.
It's not just a case of spit and polish, it's a whole new...
Well, I mean, the hardware is entirely different between the generations. It's going to take longer than you expect. And
there was also that
Minecraft
rumor that
got
it was
delayed.
going to be... well, Minecraft failed.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, weirdly, failing things that are really hard to fail. But at the same time, it could be that Rockstar's worrying about them as well. And Playgo is pretty hard to do. So part of it could be Playgo. If it's called Playgo. The bit that downloads the game while you're playing it.
Ah, right.
Okay. With blank stares from Kevin and I.
Yeah. You with your inside
maybe some of
knowledge.
the text or logos or something were unreadable on the Vita's screen.
Yes, well, I mentioned that last week. Yeah,
Yeah.
that little R symbol, man. That R symbol is pretty hard on a 484 horizontal line screen. PlayStation Network.
Sticking with Rockstar, and they've responded to the lawsuit brought by Lindsay Lohan regarding what she considers to be unlicensed use of her likeness, voice, and fashion sense for the character Lacey Jonas in GTA 5. Take-Two are arguing that her claims are frivolous, in that the only similarity between her and the character is that they are both young and blonde, and that Lohan filed the case simply for publicity. They are calling for the case to be dismissed and for Lohan to pay their legal fees. I'm oddly sympathetic towards the drug-addled, drink-driving lunatic in this case.
But like when things like South Park actually just straight up use people like Tom Cruise and say, oh, any resemblance is purely fictional, you know they're taking the piss. Why can't video games just do that?
Well, they can do. I think the problem is if they just said, yeah, we're taking the piss out of Lindsay Lohan, I think she just have to suck it up. But I think the fact that, oh no, it's got not... back in your mind, you think, well, no.
No, but what I mean, South Park basically says, we call him Tom Cruise, he looks Tom Cruise and he acts like Tom Cruise, purely coincidental. It's got that thing right at the front, at the start of the show. You know, this town is fictional and any resemblance to characters is purely coincidental. That's basically what it says at the start of things like South Park. Yeah,
I know, but, well, no, the difference with the one at the beginning of South Park is that is in and of itself a joke.
Oh, okay.
And that is kind of the point of it. It is a joke.
Did I fall for the joke?
You did. Because, again, these American programs, they're allowed to do it. Their First Amendment rights mean that they can put Tom Cruise in an episode and shout about that he's refusing to come out the closet. They can do that under their First Amendment rights. All they have to do is say, you know, this is a piece of entertainment and it's transformative in its use. Whether Rockstar are shying away from that because they're a UK developer, maybe that's why they felt they had to do it in this way. But I can't help but think, I mean, I've not played GTA 5, but for everything I've seen about the character, it would seem to be, if not directly based, loosely based on Lohan. But I still don't think she's got a case because, again, in and of its use, it's transformative. And there's an argument there to say it is satire. It's satire of the whole Hollywood regime and how it treats people and how they react to it.
Yeah.
So I think they've got every right to do what they've done, and I don't think Lohan has got a case per se, but I still have sympathy for her. over this. So, and in response to the sustained abuse, including rape and death threats over recent weeks, particularly in relation to developers Zoe Quinn and Phil Fish and video producer Anita Sarkeesian, International Game Developers Association released a statement calling for unity. It says, over the last several weeks, game developers and affiliates have been the subject of harassment and doxing attacks, including threats and posting of home addresses. While we support diverse viewpoints and healthy debate on the issues within our industry, we condemn personal attacks such as these, which are not only morally reprehensible but also illegal in many countries. We call on the entire game community to stand together against this abhorrent behaviour. With the level of vitriol directed at Sarkeesian, it's led to the issue breaking into non-game related media, and has garnered her support from outside the industry, including writer and director Joss Whedon and actor and geek culture celebrity Wil Wheaton. So yeah, people are being horrible.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Okay, so apparently on the internet, well, it's not really apparently on the internet. On the internet, nobody has a nuanced nobody has a nuanced opinion. Apparently, zero. I'm gonna make.
Shut up! You're wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna make that non-nuanced opinion, and basically, it looks like nearly nobody has this idea of we can be somewhere in the middle. They're either saying games are misogynists, or games are misogynistic, and everyone who plays them are misogynists and horrible people, and we should expose them and attack them. And then the other side of people who are basically saying those guys are idiots, let's mock them and abuse them and throw our own insults at them. And basically, you have people like Joss Whedon who are making very, very, very incorrect statements, very dangerous statements to large numbers of followers. And you have people on the other side doing the same thing. And because they're coming out to people who have these large number of followers, they're not wielding its power. They have the power to summon minions and armies of people who will blindly follow anything they say. So you end up in this situation where you've got this people who know nothing about it, nothing about the problem at all, just turning up and going, I stand with Joss Whedon. And I don't know what about, but I stand with him. And you don't, so I will end you. And that's pretty much what's happening. You get a bunch of people, you end up with more and more people getting in on this who have no idea what's going on or what it means. And so I don't like Anita Sarkeesian's videos because her viewpoint is uninformed and ill-researched and badly presented. However, I probably don't have anything against her as a person. I think she's probably fine.
I've probably, I don't want to put a percentage, but over 50% disagreeing with some of the examples or things she's put out. But I've still watched all of her videos in order to kind of go, I can see. And I think the problem is, which a lot of people talked about, was that everything feels so negative these days that it kind of makes you feel like crap about it. Not sort of even like some people are feeling like crap because they've obviously been attacked or hacked or abused and insulted. But other people are feeling like crap because, as you said, the other side is now kind of being down overall on gamers.
We had this article released a couple of days ago. Was it called Gamers Are Dead or Gamers is Dead? The term gamer no longer exists.
Yeah. And
that was horrible. That attack basically just went, here are some personal insults, gamers are dead. It was a horribly written argument in Gama Sutra. Was it Gama Sutra or IGDA? One of the two. And it's dangerous. That kind of stuff is dangerous. Like we as people are about our age, came from, our childhood was, well, I don't know, I'm talking about mine anyway, a geek in school, smarter than most of the other kids there, picked on, bullied, and thus hid in games. And so you end up in this situation where you kind of push yourself into this outcast position, being this kind of minority, generally oppressed in a way. This area where you just kind of like people mock you and you kind of go there, but you find solace with other gamers and you create this community where you use the people you play games with to feel better and to form friendships, and it's all nice. And gaming as a culture grew and grew and grew. And that kind of niche, kind of really not hardcore, but the kind of people who are really, really into it, those people became more of a minority in their own culture. And that culture just disseminated and spread and became thinner and thinner and thinner. And then you end up with this, but you still got the people like us who started with it, who grew up with it, but didn't grow up with it being this mainstream massive media, but grew up with it being this niche thing. And those people, when we feel the need to defend it, because to us it's still this kind of niche, close-knit community with people we like, but we're still used to people basically mocking us for it. So when it comes along and someone else criticizes it, it just feels like they're mocking you straight away. The first thing you do is throw up defenses and go, no, stop mocking me. I like this. And people like this. And so we get overly defensive and you kind of shut off to the actual, any kind of rationale behind the argument, because yes, the games industry is insanely sexist. There's no two ways about it. I work in a room comprised entirely of guys, and it ain't great sometimes. I mean, and gaming as a media is quite a sexist thing, but in a way, it's almost and this is a weird argument, but it's almost one of the better kinds of sexism, because it's so overt. You can easily just go, what? And just point at it and go, this is ridiculous.
I was going to say, sorry, didn't mean to quite cut you off.
No, that's fine.
I was just going to say, because it's my problem with a lot of other negative articles, I always point out or try and go, oh my God, what is wrong with this industry? Where I feel like going, you do realize this isn't just gaming related. There are loads of industries related to advertising and such, or like car shows and tech shows that use booth babes. Mm-hmm. Like it's a global thing, but
that kind of stuff is the overt stuff. But if you look at, say, the publishing industry for books, you end up with this thing. People have to. That's subtle, and that's a horrible one, because you can't just point it out, because people go, I don't really see it. Like if you're a female writer, you have to pretty much add sex, graphical violence and stuff to your book, so it doesn't have this kind of girly, prissy cover. And then, you end up with this kind of, your publisher will just kind of wink at you and go, no one buys books written by women. It's that kind of, it's subtle. It's there just as a gentle put down. You can't really point it out because it happens behind closed doors, and you kind of just do that kind of stuff. With gaming, it's just kind of like, here are boobs and stuff and death. But working in the games industry is probably quite harsh, I mean, I have a couple of friends I have from the games industry have been, have left the games industry as women, because they're like, this is ridiculous. I like coding, but this is actually just ridiculous. I can't deal with this, because it's just a boys' club, and that ain't great. As a guy, I like it. I like being able to go into a room and just sometimes be irreverent, but you take it too far. I mean, and I'll admit it, it's ridiculous. It ain't great to be in that situation where, when it comes down to it, people can turn around and say, that's not always a great attitude and way to be. You kind of be better,
I think
please.
It's gradually. I mean, when things like the last couple of weeks happen, it draws more of a spotlight to things and makes everyone depressed about the whole hobby, but it also gives people the impression that it's all doom and gloom, whereas I actually think it's gradually improving. I mean, even going back and playing some of these games I've been playing on emulators, I mean, the amount of ridiculous remarks in or the amount of sexist and sort of weird remarks of flirtation in that Police Noughts game by Kojima, that I've been playing on the PlayStation 1, is ridiculous. Like, you just click on a female character. If you happen to select look by mistake as a kind of adventure game type option instead of talk to or something, you get some kind of comment that just half the time makes me cringe.
Yeah. And that comes from probably, back when we were younger and playing games, it was more of something boys did. And not
it
girls.
was appealing, to 14-year-old boys.
So you ended up with this kind of situation where games were made by boys for boys. But now, if you include all the casual game types, which you should, because they're still games, the average gamer is a 35-year-old woman. So there are more games that women play, and that we should be working towards it, making it a thing, making titles, nearly all our titles, that everyone can play. I mean, you can still have you can still have specialist titles. You can still have Formula One games, and you can still have these games that are made for a smaller demographic, but they don't have to be gender based.
Yeah. No, but I was just saying. I mean, I feel like things were sort of almost worse still, like 10 years or
100%.
more ago,
I
and
totally
they're
agree with
getting slowly. The problem is when you go, there is improvement. Someone expects you to be talking about the last year, whereas I'm talking about more like 5 to 10 year periods where, as you just said, like more and more women are playing games, rather than, as you said, us growing up with games being our little niche thing. More kids are growing up with games, boys and girls.
Yes.
And I'm just seeing the younger generation again. Games aren't like, I talk to some of these people, and I'm not just in fact in the UK or the US, but across the Middle East as well. A lot of girls can't leave their homes without a chaperone or something. So they end up sitting indoors, and all they can do basically is, or some of their favorite hobbies are reading books and playing games.
Yeah.
But so what I'm saying is, like, just as a natural progression over the last like 10 years and for the next like 15 years or so, games are just going to slowly become the norm for the sort of what will become the current generation anyway, at which point there will be sort of an equal split of men and women playing games. It's already increased a lot.
Well, I mean, that's already happened.
Yeah, that's the nature of geek culture, that though, isn't it? Because that is the nature of geek culture, because geek culture wants to spread and share. And those of us who played games in its infancy and took that through to our adult lives, shared that with our partners, we share it with our children, and we want that to be an all-inclusive thing. And coming back to Anita Sarkeesian's videos, I actually quite like them. I don't always agree with everything she says, and she by design has to cherry pick the bits she's showing, because again, she's focusing. The whole point of these videos is to focus on these certain aspects. She's not saying games, when she points out the things in Hitman, she's not saying Hitman in and of itself is a sexist game. She's saying these elements reflect sexism in our culture, and as a piece of art, that should absolutely be critiqued, and that's what she's doing. And
she
got criticised a lot for Hitman by several people. I think possibly even Rhianna Pratchett, but don't quote me on that. Although this is being recorded, so. But she was criticised a lot, particularly for the Hitman comments, not on the latest video, but the one before that, because it seemed like cherry picking, saying you could kill these women. Whereas, Hitman, you can basically kill anyone almost.
Yeah, you can do, but again, the point she's making with that is the environments in which they are offered to you. It's I don't know. It's like being offered two things. I don't know.
The worst ones in my mind were the things like
being told you can eat anything you like. You're going to eat the pork sausage, aren't you? It's just...
Well, no, because I'm Muslim.
Well,
go to hell.
Okay. Bad choice in your case, but yeah.
Bad example. Yeah. I think the worst ones to me in the last video she showed always seem to be the ones where it was clear that it was so intentional, such as, unless someone can enlighten me as to another way to get the achievement, the Red Dead Redemption achievement that you could get by putting a woman that was tied up onto the tracks. Or there's apparently a God of War achievement you can get by trapping some woman or getting her to hold the door open for you.
But doesn't that raise the question of why are things like that in the games in the first place?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Those were the
But no, I disagree with you there, Dave. I don't think that's what the culture is like. I think that's perpetuating a cultural myth. Our culture doesn't reside on that, and the whole twirly moustache thing that she goes on about is absolutely right. That was a feature in those black and white films, but Red Dead Redemption isn't purporting to satirize or reflect those black and white films. It's supposed to be reflecting cowboy life as it was, albeit in a Western movie style. So that whole thing about hog tying a woman to a train track has no place in that, and it has no place in games.
I don't know. I don't think I fully agree with you there. I think as something that is a take on, as you said, a Western movie style. That was something that was done in a Western movie style. So it's basically, I mean, yes, it ain't great to do that because no one ever tied a guy to a track, as far as we're aware, in one of those movies. It is just something that was done, and you didn't have to let her get run over. You could take her off the track again.
Still don't think it's got any. That again, we're talking about this gratuitous, again, sexualized violence against women for male entertainment.
Yeah, that I understand and is entirely something we should be avoiding in games. The issue we were coming with the Sarkeesian stuff is that she was critiquing games, and obviously people overreacted to it. But then there were people who were bringing up valid critique of her critique, and were then being subject to exactly the same treatment. So you end up with this thing, this kind of just perpetuating the whole problem. Like, you can't critique Anna Sarkeesian without suddenly being an MRA. And then you're like, no, I'm just pointing out logical flaws in what she's saying and saying I don't agree with it.
No, because that isn't critiquing. That goes... If you, to critique Sarkeesian, you don't critique her videos. You go back to what she's critiqued and you critique it. And you do it in a way that contradicts what she's done. What you don't do is pull apart her video.
You can pull apart her argument. That's the whole point of critiquing someone's argument. Is to take it apart.
But people don't do that. People pull her apart and pull her video apart.
Okay. You didn't listen to what I was saying. So there were people who, yes, were attacking her and pulling her apart, which is incorrect. Pulling her apart, pulling her as a person apart, which is not something you should do. But there are people out there just going, disagree with her points because of this, and this. And like, we're looking at the video and going, these areas are, the work she's done here hasn't been researched properly, and here's why. These are people who are critiquing, or at least criticizing. And this is a difference, like maybe there's a difference between critiquing and criticizing, but both are valid. And then there were people coming along with just going, no, you can't critique her because, and you're now some kind of male scum. And there were people who were doing it, and then you end up with this slanging match, and that's part of where the problem starts. You have people critiquing critiques, and then critiquing critiquing is fine. I don't mind that. But then you end up with people who are basically saying, no, you can't critique on either side of the problem. And then you just end up with, no, I'm right, no, you're right. And then it blows up.
But there's no problem with critiquing. But so I would quite happily sit, having watched her videos. Again, I'm not a huge fan. I don't agree with everything she says, but I think her core argument is a valid one.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Her core argument is valid. There is too much sexism in game. There's too much sexual violence going on, and a lot of it, and it is made by guys, is ill researched and ill thought out, and it can be harmful to women and to the image of women. And that as an argument is perfectly valid and correct. Like, it is true. That is the case. It's not really something that we put up for debate. It is an objective fact. There is too much of it. Mm-hmm. The way she handles the argument in a lot of cases shows that she doesn't really play these games. Simply looks for like videos of them and that kind of stuff. And that, as a method of research, I don't think is valid. Like, because
is that fair to say though? Is it fair to say that she doesn't play these games properly?
Yes, well, I mean, she doesn't play them at all. She says she doesn't play them. So if so, yes, it's perfectly valid to say that. I think if she openly admits it herself that I don't really play games, then yes, that is 100% valid. Because in some instances you'll miss context. Sometimes there is no context, granted, but if there is context, you're likely to miss it. And
the other
again,
problem
isn't that quote from her saying she doesn't really play the game? Again, isn't that from I've got it in my head that that's from actually a longer thing, and just that bit has been taken out of it. And again, you talk about context.
I think he's probably referring to... I'm pretty sure early on when she released her first video, someone found some other presentation by her that she'd done where she said, I don't play video games, and that was like a year before her Kickstarter, or maybe 3 years before or something.
If it is a case where she plays them now, then I apologize. But that was something that has stuck out. Like, it was
I do remember watching it in video form, and it's not just someone quoting her in text form. I do remember actually watching that. And again, that's not my problem with it. It's more the problem with her. If someone isn't a major gamer like her, and sees these videos, she'll have the same impression that some of the other people have had this week, or like you said, like Joss Whedon followers or whatever. Is it Whedon or Whedon? I don't know.
I think it's
Whedon.
Whedon,
yeah.
followers, yeah, and going, oh, our game is terrible and such, and it just casts a very negative feeling across the whole gaming thing, and.
That's an issue with critique, though.
I know that's an issue anyway. But the thing is, okay, let me finish this. But I just kind of noticed how it was sort of taking prominence in my head, kind of going, oh, maybe there is. Well, I mean, yeah, there is a problem, as you said, but again, not enough people being positive. In that, someone else on Twitter, I can't remember who it was now. I think someone with the Twitter account Introspective. She asked people for what games are there that I can play with a female protagonist. And before I, checked the replies, to begin with, I was going to be like, oh dear, this is going to have like just 2 or 3 examples, isn't it? And then people kept suggesting stuff that I had totally forgotten about. And I'm not saying there's obviously not sort of equality in the amount of protagonists here. It's still going to be overwhelmingly male. But it's not as terrible a lineup as I was expecting. You sort of expect... immediately in your head, you're kind of going, oh, is there anything other than Tomb Raider? And then suddenly, basically, people just kept replying with stuff. And when you added it all up, you were like, oh, that's actually not bad. In terms of good, memorable game characters and not ones that are just shoved in a game like, Matt Hazard or, something like that. Even like, I mean, the Marine from Doom doesn't really have any character.
No, it's just a dude.
It's just a gun, Yeah. There were, the actual examples that came up apart from Tomb Raider were obviously... things like the Resident Evil. Well, yeah, I think several people recommended Metroid, but even just like the Resident Evil games and Final Fantasy games, often having you have a cast of characters and they're either an even split, or you'll have like 60-40 or something like that % of female characters there who have big long storylines that are memorable and such. And then it started to look to me. I was like, oh, that isn't sort of so bad. Like you've got some good examples there. If you're going like more by quality rather than quantity.
Yeah, and I think and obviously the visual and immediate reaction, you get that quite a lot. I mean, Tumblr, I just avoid it as a place to go. Fuck off of Tumblr. Oh, yeah. But you do get a lot of Tumblr is kind of like, it's basically Twitter on steroids. It's ridiculous. Like it's because you get more than 140 characters, you get people just either typing out reams of stuff or just basically going onto someone's account saying, "I hope you die." But it's.
Oh, I thought Tumblr was all just GIFs where you had to know every meme out there ever.
No, every time someone's split up into various areas. There's what's called the social justice warrior. That's where you see SJW everywhere. That's what that means. Yeah. And they range from people who are actually just looking for equality for everyone to people who are saying, if you don't respect the fact that I've self-diagnosed myself with ADD and believe that I have a headspace with a cupcake in it. Like there are people on Tumblr who believe that they share thoughts with cupcakes and identify themselves as cupcakes, which is... so it ranges from that to that, basically. It's a whole spectrum between, and then of course you go in the other way where people who are basically saying anyone who's not me and white and straight can burn in a fire or whatever. So you've got the whole broad range of people on Tumblr, and they generally fight with each other. But those kind of the people on the social justice warrior in inverted commas side of it, got retweeted from Joss Whedon, or not from retweeted, but found the Joss Whedon comment and basically ran with it. So there's that, and you end up with this whole area where people are just fighting with each other the whole time. And
the internet is filled with both pockets of that and giant battlefields of
it. But wasn't Joss Whedon's comment just simply, "This is worth a watch"? It makes a lot of valid points.
No, it was, "You must watch this, all of it."
Yeah, I think it was more like that.
And you must agree with it.
I don't think... Did he say
the intent behind it was watch this and agree with it, or you're a horrible person. Like,
I think you're putting words in Whedon's.
I'm strawmanning him a little bit,
Hmm.
but the tone of his thing was not, I found this and I quite like it, I think you should watch it. It was, everyone should watch all of this.
I do remember it being more direct, like everyone must watch this. Yeah.
But again, on the type of people that would follow Joss Whedon, wouldn't they broadly be supportive of that?
They would.
You'd think, but apparently someone said people were shocked, or you know.
But it's Joss Whedon. This is the guy that created Buffy.
Yeah,
Yes, well, Joss Whedon has always been like someone who proponents kind of strong female characters, which is good. But at the same time, he was like it's people derive context from things that may or may not be there. It's and you end up with, and that's where this all comes from. 140 characters. Total Biscuit said this today. 140 characters is not enough to form a nuanced argument. You can't say in 140 characters, I kind of agree with what she's saying, but in other ways it doesn't really work out. It's you can only really make absolute cast iron statements as fact in 140
Total
characters.
Biscuit said that. Well, I've said that for about a year or so. I said something like, basically, Twitter is not the place for a proper debate. It's a place for, making a statement or starting a debate. But the same reason that those sort of campaigns or things were starting last year about sexism in the industry with, what was it, One Reason Why or something it was called?
Mm-hmm. One Reason to Be and One Reason
One
Why.
Reason to Be was the positive one, and One Reason Why. And I think Papers then started reporting on it and said something like, this is... this debate or something has drawn light to this, and I was like, well, sexism already existed and we knew about it, but Twitter is kind of the wrong place for a nuanced debate on anything, and because, as you just said, you can't say 140 characters, which is why, like, it's all right to make a comment and someone to go unequivocally either I agree or don't agree, or even make a small statement like I agree with this, but I don't agree with this point, and that's it. Mm-hmm. But the people who start debating back and forth, and then like now it's gone on for 2 weeks, and I've started ignoring people. So many people are writing articles. I think I opened 3 today, and they either weren't making points or they were making them badly, and some were just trying to be clever, like Pat's article on VG 24/7, and they just, they didn't make a good point. It basically got tiresome to try and read anything because no one was making a nuanced argument. It was just loads of people talking, and I was like, no one's making any sense anymore. And I then had to ignore Twitter in order. I escaped the internet to the real world, which is kind of the wrong way usually of how I do things. So, it got out of hand, but you can't. So I mean, you can say a few things on Twitter. You can offer support for an idea or something, or you can go, you can share the things in the news and go, oh, this is terrible, isn't it? Or, oh, look at this ridiculous thing. But you can't have these kinds of debates. No. And people shouldn't write articles about them in the heat of the moment either. Because they end up just babbling or having to then go back and correct themselves or retract stuff.
Gaming as an art form and as a media and as an entertainment has drawn in a lot of broad mainstream support, and it's changed faster than the content can change. And that's basically the crux of the problem, is that the content users are changing too fast for the content creators to keep up. And you have, it's, how long did it take to get women to vote? It takes it's not an excuse. It's just a statement in that we're at the point where we're a male-dominated workforce trying to create content for everyone. And because we're this male-dominated workforce, I don't understand. I'm not a creative person. Someone says, "Can you write a save system?" I go, "Okay," but it's how do you create content for a demographic you don't belong to?
But and again, isn't at the core that part of what Sarkeesian was saying is the issue, because these games contain content that could put people off. Mm-hmm. And I'm also, part of me hopes that she'd never played a game before she started a Kickstarter, because that meant she was coming in with completely fresh eyes. She saw something and questioned it and went, this is going to turn me away. And if it's turned me away, there's a good possibility it's going to turn other people like me away. And we don't want to turn anybody away. We want everybody to play games.
We want everyone to play some games. We don't want everyone to play every game, because that would be really hard to do. I couldn't play every single game.
Well, no,
that's part of the crux of what like the issue I have from where she's coming from. The issue, obviously, with any kind of critique is it's largely negative, because that's what critique is. But at the same time, when you are cherry picking, like, these are all the bad things I've found. If you are someone coming from the outside and looking at Sarkeesian's videos, you're only going to see bad things. You're not going to see, a fun puzzle game. You're not going to see, Professor Layton. You're not going to see any of those kind of games that are in-depth, interesting, like entertaining to play, like difficult on the mind, and just largely enjoyable. You're not going to see those. You're going to see, here's some Duke Nukem, or here's some Call of Duty, or here's some other thing that you might even like the genre, that's also just sexist as well. And that's going to be, if that is all of your content that you've consumed, that is all of the content that you are going to see. And when you are coming from that kind of area into watching games, you're going to miss out. And it's not because the content isn't there, it's because someone has directed you away from it. And when you wield that kind of power to direct someone towards or away from content, you have to be careful how you use it. It is your responsibility as the person that wields the power to make sure that you create your argument in the most well-formed and unbiased way possible. And if it is full of critique, then fine. But at the same time, you have to basically assume that people are only watching your stuff half the time these days, because there's so much content out there. It's very difficult to go, like, if I wanted to see a counter argument, a well-formed counter argument to something Sarkeesian has said, I don't know how to find it. Do you? What would you do?
There are a couple. Well, I mean, if you search on YouTube, you'll find some. But the problem is there are so many.
Yes, that's what I mean.
You will end up with the shit ones.
It's.
I'm going to mention David Cage here, because so many people seem to, when they come to discuss the whole sexism thing in game, they just draw a blank at David Cage and don't mention him. And instead, when he gives a speech at GDC or whatever it was on how we must hold storytelling in games to a higher standard or something like that, and then he's applauded and retweeted and lauded by a lot of people I seem to follow. No one seems to go, I keep going, listen to that fucking hypocrite. I mean, The Nomad Soul was one of my favorite games years ago. I haven't really reevaluated whether it still is. But subsequently, like since, every next game he's made just gets less gamey. I've said before I wish he would fuck off and just make movies, since he seems so desperate to. But they also contain, in terms of, at this point, like stretching the believability or necessity for having a sex scene or a female character who's somehow naked or does something sexual. It really feels out of place in all of his games. Actually, I haven't. Well, still, there was no reason for it. I know the Beyond game on the PS3 featured a shower scene. I would imagine. I think it's just a shower scene with the one character, so it's totally pointless. I'm not saying it would be a point with two characters. Actually, I'm not sure what my point was there, but my point was, it could have been taken out. There wasn't any sort of conversation or something that happens in the shower. But actually, come to think of it, even Nomad Soul had a problematic, like, illogical scene where, right at the beginning, the policeman character you're first transported into arrives home, and his wife points a gun at him. Then says, points a gun at him and says, she thought it was someone else. She was so worried because you were missing 3 days or something. And then it suddenly cuts of a scene of her riding him in the bedroom. Now, I know the final game was fully clothed, because that's the version I remember, but I have a feeling the demo on the PC Zone disc was actually somewhat naked but blurred. I can't remember accurately though. But there was no real reason for that. They could have kissed as terribly like blocky polygons as it was at the time anyway. You wouldn't even be able to make out the kissing, but that would have been enough. But even games like what was the other one? Fahrenheit, also known as Indigo Prophecy in the US, which is like the worst name ever. That had some odd dancing or naked scene. I'm pretty sure apart from the
zombie sex and his dust spunk making a baby.
I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't going to spoil the necrophilia moment, but okay, the police are already coming at the mention of necrophilia. Yeah, I wasn't going to spoil that ridiculous moment of storytelling. So I guess there are bigger problems than inserted sex scenes in that game. But apart from the moment at the end, there was some other moment where you like dance or do something sexual. I'm pretty sure I've seen a clip of Heavy Rain, which I've never played. I kept meaning to give it a chance, but I'm not sure if I ever will now. But there's some scene in that where one of the main characters sort of does a striptease dance thing, and literally there is no reason for it, and it feels out of place. Like you have a feeling like in other games, God of War is not subtle at all. You know, the save points or whatever they are, where you kind of replenish health, where you have some, polygonal maidens with their tits out on a bed, saying "Come over here." It's straightforward and very, but I suppose in a way it's the same way we don't mind that when we're watching Game of Thrones. It zooms away anyway for a moment, and the lamp or something on the table next to the bed wiggles for a bit while they make moaning sounds, and then your health is replenished. But again, that's like straightforward, and initially it's a bit of, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Oh my! And so your eyes widen for a second.
Again, that's classic objectification as well, isn't it?
And but it's kind of straightforward, and like I say, in the same way in a lot of the HBO series, you have these kind of whores walking around with their tits out. It's kind of just straightforward, and there it's somewhat more accepted. Whereas, I don't know, in the David Cage thing, it just didn't make any sense. It was a sudden cut to, okay, let's have the main character strip now because we've got a woman in this game. She must get naked. Then again, he is French, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
His Frenchness could be relevant.
I'm pretty sure I've seen a comment that may have even been in PC Zone or something that was to the effect that if there's a documentary about coat hangers in French, then there'll be a pair of tits in it at some point.
Oh, nice. Okay. I can't say. I've been to France a few times, but I can't say I'm familiar enough with their culture overall to know whether that's true or not.
I remember I spent a week in France once, and they did have a shampoo commercial, which was just a woman in a shower naked, and then some shampoo. That was just straight up. This was on at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Did you rush out and buy the shampoo?
No, I was in a fucking farm. I wasn't going to get anywhere.
Well, all I can say is we didn't get that at Disneyland.
No.
Okay.
Well, get much at Disneyland. To be fair, it's quite expensive.
It's great though.
It is great, to be fair. Yes.
Okay. Well, this obviously while we've been talking about it, I've just been tootling online, and it seems to be that this particular quote from Sarkeesian's video is kind of the bullet point to the whole thing. So I'm going to read this out, which is, we're perfectly willing to suspend our disbelief when it comes to multiple lives, superpowers, health regeneration, and the ability to carry dozens of weapons in a massive invisible backpack. But somehow the idea of a world without sexual violence and exploitation is deemed too strange and too bizarre to be believable.
Does that quote strike you as very quotable? Do you know what I mean, though?
I do know what you mean, but again, but that's probably why it's going round as a bullet point now, because it is. That's exactly what it is. That's a bullet point. And
okay, let me just pull that bullet point and remove the bit about invisible backpacks.
okay,
Right. So what do you have left? Remove the bit about multiple lives and invisible backpacks.
multiple lives, superpowers, health regeneration.
Okay, so remove multiple lives.
The thing is,
You've just
I
got
think
superpowers and health regeneration. And what was the other stuff? Was there anything else about that? Or is it just superpowers and health regeneration?
That was it.
And then if you just got superpowers, health regeneration, and apparently a lot of sexual violence, you've pretty much got half of the AAA movies. And a lot of books, if you read them as well. A lot of them, basically, I mean, the women in there
books.
aren't
What are you
either.
suggesting?
I read books. I like turning a page occasionally.
Well, no, the big movies, they may have superpowers and health regeneration, but sexual violence and exploitation.
Have you seen Black Widow?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Avengers poster? Everyone's in manly poses and Scarlett Johansson's ass is in the middle of the poster.
And again, to be fair, that was torn to shreds.
It was torn to shreds, but it is something that still happens.
It is, and how those type of movies, like you say, those again, for want of a better term, films for boys, are marketed is very much that, because they're going with the male power fantasy, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Which again doesn't make it right, and I think certain people in movies are fighting against that. And again, we're talking about Joss Whedon and Avengers, so there he is in support of Sarkeesian, poster for his movie, going against the grain, and certainly in terms of physical exploitation of the female form.
I seem to recall there was actually a moment in her latest video as well where she kind of went off a bit to. She kind of seemed to. I don't want to say go. She didn't go off topic of sexual violence, but she went off the video game side and kind of went to an aside where she seemed to be speaking in general about violence towards women. Like being an issue that affects everyone and such. But she kind of went, I don't know what it was about the way she did it. I might have to rewatch it. But it suddenly seemed to take an aside and talk about violence in general, and happens to a lot of women in the US and such. I don't know if she quoted stats or anything. But she kind of went off, and it kind of clicked something in my head that kind of went, hold on a minute. It's a bit dangerous here, because it almost sounds like you're trying to say that video games are directly responsible.
No, I didn't take it that way. I think she said, what is it? 1 in 5 women in America are sexually assaulted. Because there is a culture against women. A place where I work, you can guarantee if one of the managers comes in and wants, if he's having a meeting with somebody, you can guarantee it'll be a female colleague that'll ask to make them both a cup of tea. He won't ask one of the blokes; he'll ask a woman. And again, to be fair, I've pulled him on it a few times when he's done it. And his answer to that is, "Well, you go and make it then." I said, "No, you can fuck off and make your own drinks." But the fact that he would go. His instinct is to go and ask a woman to go make the drinks, because somehow women are subservient. It's that cultural thing, and again, it's reflected in everything in society. That needs to change. It's not just in video games, throughout everything. Yeah,
no, quite. I mean, well, as you said, you've corrected him a couple of times. It needs to be done on a sort of. It needs to be done by everyone on a sort of case-by-case basis as they see it happening.
Mm-hmm. It does happen. There are still. I mean, as from what I've seen, it's getting less, but it still needs to get more less, as it were.
It needs to be eradicated, really.
Well, yes. I hope. Part of the issue is there's just a lot of old white people in power, so you end up with just a bunch of racism and sexism all over the place.
Okay, I think we've pretty much exhausted that, though. Going through everything we said and cutting it down to basics, we agree with Sarkeesian's aims. We want a fully inclusive gaming environment where people don't feel pushed out or marginalised, no matter which side of the fence they sit on. Mm-hmm. Is that fair?
Well, in the end, there's no fence.
Just a big field where we all...
It's just a big field where we just stand somewhere in it. And that's what it should be. That's our ideal, is a field where everyone stands in it somewhere. But the point is, the way that the media and the way that people have reacted to it have made anyone's points irrelevant. And instead of a field where people are just standing in it, there's a field where some people are standing in the middle, and then 99% of people are one side on the other with artillery.
And there are some indie developers in the corner making a sheep shagging simulation.
Yeah.
I'd advocate more positivity in general, and that's it. Like I said, I mean, the inclusivity thing coming from more female developers, because there's an imbalance, will come from more females playing games, which has already started happening. And, you know, the balance in workforce will get there eventually anyway, which will create more balanced games.
You hope so.
In order, it will. It's like I'm saying, it'll take... Hold on, the police are going by again.
That will hopefully come from coding becoming something that's taught in the curriculum as well.
Yeah.
Because without that, it's still just a hobbyist kind of thing, and that kind of hobbyist kind of thing is still going to end up falling to guys, because guys get given tiny little computer game things when they're kids, and girls still get given girly things in inverted commas. And
well, see, no, again, I think that part of that has changed with, again, the likes of us becoming parents. As I say, my son's really too young to appreciate the nuances of most video games, but my daughter enjoys them, and again, she enjoys games that we can play together. Okay. Right, because of my idiocy, I don't have a trivia round this week, but thankfully I do have the Stuart Luff Appreciation Corner.
Yay!
Hang on, a button. There we go.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Yep, okay.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Right, first up, in Max Payne 3, Max is run out of New York by the New Jersey mob, but where does he end up? Hany.
I'm going to say Colombia, and it's going to be wrong, isn't it? Colombia?
Absolutely right. You are going to say Colombia, and it is going to be wrong.
Brazil. Is this a multi?
He gets run out of New York into a different country. I don't know. I haven't played Max Payne 3.
Yeah, I thought it was Colombia or Brazil.
Maybe he ends up in like New Jersey.
It is Brazil.
It is Brazil.
He ends up in Sao Paulo.
He goes bald as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He ends up like Zangief. I remember.
Wait, actually, oh god, yeah, I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head now. It's a cross between Zangief and he'll meet what's his name?
Blanca.
Yeah, my head went completely Blanca there.
Hey.
Oh,
sorry.
Dear. Max Payne 3 was developed by Rockstar, but who developed the first two games in the series? Hany.
Remedy?
It was indeed Remedy.
Yes.
Why didn't they do the third one? They were doing something else, weren't they?
What are they doing now? They
no idea.
Are they people? Did someone buy them up, or? I
think they're still going. No, there was a reason why they didn't do the third one, because they were doing something else. But I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember what they're up to. I almost said Rebellion, but Rebellion are the other group who own.
They're making a game now called Quantum Break.
What's that in?
Okay.
What?
What's that then?
I don't know if they have a gameplay teaser there. Let's have a look. Show me games. Right. Quantum Break. Quantum Break blurs the line between television and gameplay, integrating the two into one seamless, uniquely immersive experience. Is this the one that's going to have a film? Is this the one with the TV series?
Oh, not another one of them.
Oh, it might be.
It's a revolutionary entertainment experience that weaves a cinematic action of intense gameplay with the tension and drama of scripted television, creating a world where each has a direct impact on the other. They also made Alan Wake, so that might be why they didn't make Max Payne.
Ah, yeah, that would make sense.
Oh, yeah.
And Death Rally. Oh, I love Death Rally.
Oh, really? I forgot they made Death Rally.
On the mobile, at least. 3D Realms was the first one on the PC, because it had Duke Nukem in it.
Death Rally was really popular with a lot of my friends in Egypt who played bootleg games. Not me, obviously.
Yeah, right. Actually, okay. Look, next question. In Max, as you can probably tell, these are all Max Payne related. In Max Payne 2: The Fall of Max Payne, who was the femme fatale love interest? I think I'm going to give that to Dave. I could be wrong. When I listen to it back, I may regret that, but I think it
You
was
may as
Dave.
well. I think I was going to guess anyway and probably get it wrong. So yeah.
Okay. Do you want to guess anyway? And then you can guess.
No, you go for it.
It's Mona Sachs.
It was indeed Mona Sachs.
I was going to say Nina. So I knew it was something with an N in it. So there you go.
Mona Sachs. Right. So thank you very much to Stuart for sending them in and actually giving us a trivia round this week. Because without them questions, I'd have been stuck, mate. So much appreciated. Thanks for them. And that's us done, chaps.
Good.
Yay.
We get scores.
All done. Yeah. We do have scores.
So Kev left the scores at work as well.
Oh dear. Right, Hany. Consistent. In that this week you've once again reached the dizzy heights of level 5.
Hey.
Well done, you. Shorter quiz this week, though, obviously.
Yes.
Dave.
2.5.
Consistent in that you've won again by reaching level 6.
There we go. Now I can retire undefeated.
Oh,
I've won 3 now.
You got a break.
3 in a row. Surely I get to keep the prize.
So very well done. Very
Thank
well
you.
done indeed. And thank you very much for playing. Thank you, anybody out there in internet land who's taken the time to listen to us. But for now, from me, Dave, and Hany, bye-bye.
Bye.
Level Up was hosted by me, Kev Furlong, and was a fairly whirly production.
Why didn't the motorbike go to the party?
I don't know. Why
because
didn't
he
the
had
motorbike go to the party?
He didn't want to have a wheelie bad time.
That's not bad, but no, it was too tired.
Oh, very good. And by that I mean, oh God.